Welcome to the podcast hosted by timecam.com on how to stay on top of your work.
Welcome back to Stay on Top of Your Work podcast, where me and my guests talk about time management, project management, marketing, self-development, productivity, and many other fantastic things. This is Kate, your host, and welcome back to the 29th episode. If you're looking for great tips, want to deepen your knowledge, or one of those things, or want to find out what books successful people read, stay here and don't go anywhere. And today my guest is Lukasz Zelezny, and he was already here with us. And if you want to know more about him and what we talked about, listen to the 17th episode, and you will find a link in the description. Lukasz, thank you so much for joining me here again. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me again. It's a pleasure for me, and it's an honor. Thank you for everyone who is listening us right now. And yes, I will do my best to make sure that this half an hour, 40 minutes will, as always, deliver added value.
Great. Amazing. So, Lukasz, just in a few sentences for those who don't know who you are, who are you? What do you do? Just, a few words about yourself.
Okay, I am Lukasz Zelezny, living in London for last 11 years. I am pretty much dealing with SEO for all that time. Last 6 years, I am dealing with SEO. I'm working for Uswitch and then ZPG, so Zoopla, Uswitch, Prime Location, as a director of organic acquisition, managing team of 9 people. And aside of this, I am pretty active on all forms of meetups, conferences across UK and Europe, pretty much Europe and UK. So I'm speaking on conferences, and I'm trying to make sure that, first of all, I can share my knowledge, but also I can stay on top of how SEO should be in 2018.
Okay, amazing.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. Lukasz, last time we met in Warsaw, you were going to the SEO conference in Katowice. So I wanted to ask you, what did you talk about there? Because you were one of the speakers. But also, did you find any new interesting latest trends in SEO or any other news?
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you. That was the first time we could meet in Warsaw. And yes, I was going to Katowice, and I was talking about AMPs, so accelerated mobile pages. And then I was talking also about WordPress, how to make your WordPress work a little better, a little faster, a little more SEO friendly. WordPress, as you know, is operating with plugins, so very often one plugin, as if by magic, is solving lots of headache. And if you're asking me about the conference itself, and it's amazing event. It's probably one of the best SEO conference that is right now in Poland. So full room of people, lots of friends I know for many years, lots of interesting cases, because I think this is often where Polish speakers are going. So yeah, it was a bit different what I normally see with UK or with European conferences, but extremely interesting and extremely exciting, and Artur is doing phenomenal job. So yeah, if anyone who is listening us today willing to learn SEO, I think this conference, Festival SEO, should be in her calendar for next year.
Right. So the first question I want to ask you is, how does the work of an SEO expert look like? Is it difficult? Is it easy? Is it exciting? What are the challenges? Can you say a few words about that?
Yeah. So, it's sometimes very chaotic because if you starting working for a company, you have so much on your plate, and you're trying to prioritize what is important. I think like everyone should start from audit. You first need to audit website to understand where are the main issues, and so on and so on. Currently, we have plenty of tools on the market that are helping us to do this. So if you want to crawl your website, you can use deep crawl or screaming frog. If you want to see keywords, you can just go to the new search console, which is phenomenal, or you can start using softwares like SEMrush or Systrix. And there are like three main parts of the SEO. I would mention. You have on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and you have a technical SEO. So if we will go with on-page SEO, then yes, obviously you should start planning content, the whole content marketing campaign, identifying the areas where website could rank, identifying the areas where website is ranking but not as good as it could. And it's all about the scale. We're not talking about few articles. It must be few articles a day, and then over and over and over and over. And then after 3-4 weeks, when you started working on a project, you can say like, oh my gosh, yeah, it works. It delivered, like it doubled traffic. So I would like to make this clear that SEO is pretty much like this kind of little factory mode. You always, sometimes you're doing boring stuff over and over and over, and there is no results. But if you're doing this consequently and the right way, then the results will come, because this is how it works. And then you have the whole technical SEO. Some people loves doing technical SEO, so fixing issues with crawling, fixing issues with duplication, fixing issues with some and meta description length. Plenty of this stuff, and they rather trying to step back from content and on page and rather doing this technical stuff. And then you have off page, which is link building and everything else what is happening outside of your website. And some people loves doing that, trying to acquire links because they believe that this is working the best. I would say, depends where your skills are. You definitely finding something for yourself, and despite from the fact it may sounds like you need to spend lots of time, the other side of the story is that it's extremely fascinating and very measurable, because you have Google Analytics that is telling you how the traffic is reacting, or you have Site Catalyst, or you have any other tracker that you can easily measure your efforts, how they are paying back.
Okay, so when it comes to your work and time management, because TimeCamp is, as you know, time tracking software, which
Absolutely.
helps in productivity, in boosting productivity. So I have to ask you this question: how do you manage your time? Do you have any tools, any practices, anything that helps you?
That's a very good question. I have this Pomodoro methodology, so I'm trying to work very like a kind of a sprint for a certain amount of time, and then I'm taking like 5 minutes breaks, and then again I'm working hard for a certain amount of time. I'm doing something else, and then 5 minutes break, and then again and again and again. Obviously, it sounds really easy to implement in the theory, but in the office environment you have lots of meetings, lots of people, and so on and so on. So it's sometimes challenging, but yeah, I'm trying to work in the circles. So I think, office environment is good to work because I like spending time with people, but it's not always so straightforward, because from one side you are with other people, and it's all about this kind of interaction between people. From the other side, you really want to be efficient, so you need to find the middle point. And I think this Pomodoro is very good.
Okay. So you said you manage a team of 9 people, and I want to ask you, how do you do that? Do you have any strategies, anything that helps you, or not really?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. We know each other for years, and also not 9 people is my direct reports. There is like 4 people who are my direct reports, so they directly reporting to me. The way how I'm managing, obviously we have meetings, but I think they have a lots of autonomy. They are an expert. I really respect them, and obviously there is no room for kind of ego thing from my side, saying that making, it's not an army, you know what I mean, it's an office environment. So it's more about meetings, it's more about having a conversation, rather than sitting on their head and checking what they done today or tomorrow. And then at the end of the day, like I said before, there is plenty of method that you can see how the part of the website everyone is responsible for is performing. So because of that, it's absolute. We are always spot on, and if anything is happening, we always can react, and the rest of the team could help in that area that is falling. There is no problem at the moment. Everything is working as it should. So I would say that my management of the people day to day is pretty much like a coordination of what they are doing, and just making sure that we're going all the same direction. Sometimes it looks like a little like medical consultations, if I can say like that. So there is an idea that is circulating, someone is coming down and saying like, okay, I was thinking to do this, what do you think about this? And I'm thinking like, you know what, that sounds like a cool idea. Or sometimes I'm saying like, I would rather refrain from that. Or sometimes I may say, you know what, let's do something, let's dig deeper and let's see what is online about this, because it's a bit complicated problem and we don't know how things could react. And yeah, and I think this is like I said, we are like a couple of doctors who is trying to deliver as much organic traffic as possible. We respect each other, and that really helps with the day-to-day tasks.
That's great. So the thing that comes to my mind is that when you manage a team, you also have to think about your customers, your clients, or stakeholders. And it's also about the user experience. What can we do to improve it and to make our relations with customers better?
I mean, in my case, there will be a stakeholders, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So other part of the companies I'm working for. First of all, there should be clear objectives, because that's always the problem. When there is no clear objectives, then you may start just simply waffling about things just for sake of. So when you have these objectives, then there should be a time frame set up, and when you have a time frame set up, there should be clear reporting. So let's say if you're reporting on organic traffic, you should always report on organic traffic, and if share is important, then report on the share. So the metrics staying in line with other part of the company. um, I think also it's important to understand that it's not with SEO, it's not a bakery, and you cannot deliver things as by night shift and then at morning everything will be done. You need to have a reasonable time frame and reasonable objectives, because you want to stretch yourself, but you don't want to put them so high that it will generally become a very frustrating and unachievable thing. So I don't have like there is no like one recipe, but I think this things I mentioned, this is where I would put my starting point.
So what I'm thinking about is also hiring the right people, because you are an SEO expert.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to hire an SEO guy to increase my project success, to make an audit, whatever. What should I look for? And what, questions should I ask to such a person to make sure that he's the right guy?
You mean like you would like to hire someone to work on your website, like a consultant or something?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
so I think this is a great question. First, you need to really answer one question: who you want to hire? Are you going to hire a consultant that will have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, but is not a hands-on? Only will be telling you what to do, or you want to hire a freelancer, a SEO freelancer who may have less knowledge and less experience, but will be much more hands-on. So it will be physically doing the job, like fixing your website, crawl problems, and optimizing title tags, and so on and so on and so on. Because if you won't figure out this first step, you may end up in the situation that you was expecting someone to deal with this website physically, like have make his hands dirty because of that, and it will not happen because he's a consultant. So for that's that first, and then the second, I think you can ask for previous projects that this person been responsible for. Unfortunately, you need to find a way of verifying this. So because otherwise, anyone can say I was working on this, I was working on that, and so on and so on. So when you have a little of confirmation, you may also want to ask a couple of questions which are about recent setup around SEO. So I would recommend you to read a little on Search Engine Land or Search Engine Journal or Search Engine Watch, and pick up like 3-4 things and ask, for example, what is the person's opinion about accelerated mobile pages or mobile first index upcoming algorithm update. And if the person will be spot on, if the person is confidently answering, then that this is a person who is reading a lot, trying to stay on top of what's going on with SEO, rather than the person who thinks that he knows how to do a job, but there will be very little impact. I would also try to stay away from potentially from agencies in your case. I think working with a consultant or freelancer will be much more than beneficial, but also would try to stay from some kind of like 12 months contract, and so on and so on. Finally, the price. If the price is too low, that should also start alerting you. I think if someone will tell you that, oh, okay, pay me 400 Polish zlotys or £100 a month for next 12 months on retainer, you can be pretty sure that nothing will happen there. Unfortunately, SEO is time consuming and is expensive, and if the guy is dealing with 15 or 16 20 clients by himself, or 30, I would be very kind of careful, because that means that he have a very little time per client. But if there is like price is higher and the person is dealing with less clients, you can be much more sure. And then finally, there are referrals and opinions. So it's a relatively small world. So you can easily ask, go to Facebook and see common mutual friends and ask about the opinion, or go on any group and maybe try to pick up someone who may know the person you want to work with, and ask about how this person is delivering. Because that way, you will have not only confirmation about the skills of that people or that person, but also about the delivery, which is the most important.
Okay.
The conclusion
Mhm.
is that you always need to be quite careful, and and there is plenty of people in the area that may say that they are an SEO experts, but they are doing some wishy-washy black hat sometimes stuff which will bring your website into trouble sooner or later, and rather you want to work with professional people, and professional people are plenty of there, because let's make this clear: SEO is worth effort and SEO is working.
Okay, it's good to know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking about now is how to create a good, strong marketing plan, because you're an SEO expert, and I think it's a part of marketing. And
Yeah.
do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, there is no one way to go, and I can only probably cover one of the many ways, and there will be as many ways as businesses. But I can share a couple of tips and couple of tactics, that definitely not tricks. I'm never sharing tricks. Tricks are in the circus. So first of all, I think you should use this kind of what people in UK saying low hanging fruits approach. So what is low hanging fruits? There must be plenty of keywords that are already ranking. So try to identify them and try to put them a little higher, especially keywords that are ranking between position 5 and 10, or 10 to 20 on the second page. Try to push them a little higher so they will be ranking on the first page and already generating traffic. That would be my first tactic. The second tactic: gap analysis. Find the gaps between you and competitors. Try to identify areas that your competitors are ranking, especially if you pick up 2-3 competitors and they simultaneously ranking on some specific keywords in top 10, and your website is not. You have kind of a confirmation that this guys intentionally ranking on some keywords that should be considered by you because you're operating in the same area. Let me give an example. If this is like, let's say, let's step into holiday market, because this is the easiest, always the most the easy to imagine. If you if you are working for a website, a big provider, and you can see that your competitors are ranking together on holidays to Egypt or holidays to Turkey, and your website is not, then definitely you should answer why. Do we have deals to Turkey? Do we have deals to Egypt? And if we do, why we not ranking, and what we can do to rank? And then you need to start optimizing this pages, or if there is no pages for this destination, creating these pages, or if there is no pages created yet, maybe you should raise an alert and go to your boss and say, like, why are we not selling trips to Egypt and Turkey when everyone else on the market is? So that was a gap analysis. And then obviously, there is plenty of other things that you should remember in your SEO marketing plan, making sure that the website loads as fast as possible. You have a parity between mobile and desktop. Website obviously must be responsive and must run on SSL. And then you can try to make sure that links that are pointing to 404 pages, you redirecting through 301, and you trying to repoint them somewhere to existing locations on your website. And I would pretty much stay here, because when you are alone, that's plenty of to deal with. And the next step is to start from the point one, and over and over and over. You're doing this in a circle. You can do this in a weekly circle, where on the Monday you're doing gap analysis and snapshot. You're trying to figure out where keywords are, and then from Tuesday to Friday in the Pomodoro approach you are optimizing, and then next Monday you're just measuring impact on organic traffic through analytics, and you starting again, because you need to remember that the data you will get from the export will be very different, because you already influence a lot the website during the week.
Okay, that sounds good. So let's go back to that part of you where you are kind of a project manager and you manage a team of people. So what I'm thinking about is implementing changes and strategies to your team. And it doesn't matter what type of business do you have. What should we pay attention to when doing that?
Well, I think that's sometimes challenging because companies, especially the big companies, would like to work the way they normally work for years. But I think nothing works better than proving something. If you have a methodology to prove, if you can bring some white papers or charts or description or point on the competitor, and then you can say like, listen, they are working a bit different than we are working, so we probably should consider to deal with things a different way. I don't remember if was anything like that recently. I just changed, but I can refer to the platform or tools that we are using. That's pretty easy to justify you going with a trial version, and you're saying like, listen, here is a very good platform, and I have no doubts that we will achieve much more when we will have this platform. So that's why that's one of the way to convince someone who is a decision maker or someone who is approving these purchases. In terms of people, is always this kind of situation that you have not enough resources, so you need to raise your head, you need to raise the bell, and you need to say like, we need more resources because there is too many things that we're dealing with, or we need to hire someone with a little different skill set. So instead of hiring another SEO executive or SEO manager, you would like to have a developer who have a little of SEO knowledge, because then you will be able to execute more from the strategy you set up, deliver more, and make sure that some things that doesn't exist on the website can be created by this developer. Let's say some engaging tools that people can use, for example, I don't know, like loans calculator or this kind of things that really people likes to play with. um and yeah, I think everything starts from the conversation. That's why this is important, to have a good relation with all the stakeholders and all the decision makers, because if you don't have a good relation, then there is a risk that there will be this ego clash, and rather than constructive discussion about next step, either to implement some changes in the platforms that we have, so change the setup, the tool setup, or if there is any changes with a number of people you are managing, or there is any other changes, let's say in the seat area, you saying like, you know what, I think the seat area should be splitted because we will be working more effective. And yeah, if you have a good relation with people who are approving this, then it's always easy.
Okay. So the question that comes to my mind is related to perspective of a project manager. But you are a speaker, and you talk on events, on conferences. So how do you organize your work in order to deliver a good presentation, a good speech? Do
Well,
you
thank you
use
for this.
any practices? Because I think that's quite interesting.
I mean, so there is couple of steps I'm always dealing with. The first step is that when conference organizers are asking me to speak, we are trying to identify if there is a topic that he already or she already have in the agenda, and I need to amalgamate with existing agenda, or I can propose my own topic. The first scenario is more difficult because I need to create a bespoke custom presentation. The second, I can probably, and I'm doing this, it's not a secret, I can reuse some slides from the previous presentation, so that saves a lot of time, and I don't need to rehearse. So when I have the presentation prepared, I'm then doing a little of rehearsal. I'm trying to make this kind of step by step how I will be delivering this on the stage, but I was never trying to memorize what I will be saying. I saw a couple of times people on the stage. So generally that concept came from watching George Carlin and his stand-up comedy, one of my favorite comedian, and I could understand on some point that everything looks so kind of like a freestyle, but in fact it's memorized. When I compared two presentations from a different programs, somewhere from 90s, and I was thinking like, oh my gosh, he's so good and he memorized everything, but you're still thinking that he's just freestyling this. It's a stand-up comedy. So then I was thinking like, maybe I should once implement this in my presentation. And I think I saw 2 3 people who were memorizing everything word by word for 30 minutes talk, and that looks a bit awkward, unfortunately. So it's not replicable. I could hear like people around me. I was listening to this person on the stage, and people around me was like, "What's going on here? This person memorized everything. That's kind of awkward." So you're losing the interaction with the audience, and this is very important. I wanted to raise interaction with the audience is very important to me, so I'm always asking questions to audience. I'm asking them to raise their hand if something. I'm trying to make sure that they know that I am for them, not they are here and I'm here, but I don't care about them. So you had how I'm preparing the topic, how I'm preparing slides, how I'm rehearsing. Obviously, there is a little of operational stuff. I need to make sure that I have tickets for a conference. I have a hotel. I need to make sure that everything sits in my calendar, because sometimes I'm back to back, conference to conference, so I need to be pretty well organized. But like I said, some people may think that rehearsing this would take a couple of weeks in advance. No, it's just sometimes 2 times going through the slides and then going on the stage. And then finally, depends who you talking to. Are you talking to CMOs, CEOs, CFOs? So you're delivering different way, and are you talking to people like you who are really into SEO and so on and so on? Depends on the type of event. Is this like very corporate event at the morning, or it is an event as a meetup after work? If this is early morning and you're the first one, don't try to be too intense, because this is the time when people want to listen but also want to have a sip of coffee and a bite of croissant, and you should respect that, you know what I mean? So I'm always saying, like, bringing the super intense speakers on the first slot is not the best idea.
That's true.
You saw that, you know how it looks like when someone is jumping at the scene at 9 o'clock sharp and starting from "how you doing, boom boom," and I was like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, that's true. It's sometimes too early for people to speak.
Oh yeah.
To listen to that. Yeah, that's true. So it's actually not as easy as it seems to be a speaker, because you have to keep everything organized. That can be crazy.
It is a bit, but you have a Dropbox, you have a Google Calendar, you have G Suite, and I think that are tools that really helps. I also have a spreadsheet which contain all the dates, all the names of the conferences, towns, cities, and the countries, plus people who I should contact if I have a question. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So you gotta be really organized to actually do it in the right way, I think.
Yeah. The organization is important in this.
Yeah. Okay. So I like to switch to the more creative part of the podcast, and I usually ask guests about how to stay productive and how to stay on top of your work, but also about books. But we talked about books the last time you were here. But maybe have you read any interesting books over the time that we haven't talked here? Do you have any recommendations or nothing special?
Well, I think I didn't mention Napoleon Hill, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. It's a similar story to Dale Carnegie. So some of people who are listening us may say like, "Oh, yet another guy who is talking about this," and But I respect Napoleon Hill because of the fact that when he was delivering his books, there was a lot of difficulties, and there was no copy paste, and there was probably no ghostwriters. Maybe they were, but maybe not that popular, this concept. And so I believe that whatever is in this book is because of his thoughts. And I would say again, like, this is not like a book that will completely flip upside down your life and solve all your problems, and your life will be like uh, pretty easy, and you will seriously stop worrying or start living. But this is the initial step that you can look on the problem from a bit different area. So
Mhm.
yeah, that book I would recommend. And what else I was watching or reading? I'm watching and reading a plenty of things, but cannot remember anything at the moment to as that good to that I could easily recommend to other people.
Okay. Łukasz, do you have any final tips for our audience?
Regarding to
Anything that we talked about?
okay, let me go this way. I am working in online marketing for 15 years, predominantly SEO. And for anyone who is young right now, studying and listening us, or any older people who already are actively working but are considering to pivot their career, let me say one honest thing from deep down of my heart. There is really, really not many things as exciting as online marketing. You have plenty of activities you can start dealing with. You have paid marketing, organic marketing, email marketing, affiliate marketing. We can consider even like like even a conversion rate optimization as a form of marketing, and so on and so on and so on. So it's super fascinating journey. And even if that sounds or looks very difficult for people who never been dealing with these things, don't think this way. Go for a course, start reading online, go for an Udemy or Linda or Coursera or Distilled, or any other course that is available there online. Start to read about this, set up your own website, do some tests, and maybe you would like to join this amazing crazy boat called online marketing, which is surfing for I think 20-25 years so far, since the internet been become so popular, because we have a nice party on this boat, and we think that we will like you to join us. This is what I can say. And yeah, and I've been luckily able to convince lots of people in recent years who are thinking like, I don't know where I would what I would do, where I would be, and so on and so on. I also long time ago haven't had an idea for myself, and that's how my journey with SEO started. Amazing journey. I still like to do other things. I just recently bought a piano, and I'm playing sometimes. But or I'm considering to write a book these days. But obviously, SEO is a big part of my life, and it's a lifestyle. And sometimes people are shocked that when I'm saying this. But yeah, you need to try it. You need to join. You need to see people. You need to start meeting on the conferences, and you will understand.
Nice. And you definitely should write a book. I would be the first one to read it.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you very much. Now I have additional motivation to make it happen, because you know how it is. You're always thinking. But like, I have a dream. By the way, I need to write this book in a very nice, sweet Polish little town, and I need to find which one it will be. I have a couple of on my list, like Leżajsk or maybe Sanok. We will see. I would
Yeah,
need to go there for like a half a year doing nothing but writing this book, and
that can
living in the
be
small.
That can be
small flat somewhere on the market square, you know.
Yeah. I hope you can do this. I really hope for the
Please
book
keep
to come out very soon.
Yeah, please keep fingers crossed for me.
I will, definitely. Lukasz, if we want to find you, where should we go?
There is a website that I'm still planning to launch, but it's very easy to remember the address. So let me give this SEO.London, and there is a bit of information about where to find me, where else to find me. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, or you can type zelezny.uk and you will see my main website. There is for Polish market, socialmedia.pl, that people can type also and find a little of details about me, or send me email that I'm receiving these emails. So that should be probably easy.
Okay, that's great. Lukasz, thank you so much for joining me here for the second time. I loved our conversation. Thank you once more.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure and honor, and yeah, it's always nice to hear you, to see you, and nice to share some tips. So, thank you very much from deep down of my heart.
This podcast was brought to you by Timecam. You can listen to it on iTunes and SoundCloud. Subscribe to get more content and always stay on top of your work.